Alright, the first thing I'm going to say is when you're loading up the game, you want to look at the enemy's comp. Generally in the loading phase while you're both just waiting around. But since we're here, we're going to be looking at the comp. And from here you can see there's two sets of flash. So you got the KO flash and the Rainer flash. You got a sentinel covering the flanks, usually here or having a trip here, etc. You have a smoker to make it easier to get onto the site, and you have the two duelists, the Rainer and the jet, and also a flash and dash combo. So the jet can just smoke here, the KO can flash backside, and the jet can peek out of the smoke for easy kill whoever's backside. So let's say in this scenario the gecko's here. Instead of looking this direction, he's playing more towards here, and the jet will just dash onto the site, KO flash, and then the gecko will be flashed for a simple kill. So the first thing I always say is look at their comp, see what their strengths are, see how you can exploit them. And on top of that, you look at your comp and you can see you've got no sentinel, or a sentinel that can cover the flank is what I mean. So the Sage, all she has is a wall, so she can wall like here or she can wall like here, but eventually that wall's going to break and it's going to allow the enemies to push in. So if you're not disciplined and you're over rotating like now, you can see how of course it's one AFK, but even if that player wasn't AFK and the Sage went to A and the Brimstone was B or Garage, one of them is going to be open, and it's going to allow the enemies to, they can fake the A push and have someone lurk, typically a chamber or a Rainer in some situation. So I'll say this is an issue. You don't want to be playing in this situation or in this position, the round side, and you are in this position and you have no information on where the enemies are, how they're going to hit, and in a position where you're in a one and done position where if you get a kill, an enemy comes, yada yada yada, they push, you kill them, now the enemies know your exact position and you've got multiple enemies looking at you, so you'd be dead. So I would look to play in positions where you can easily exit or where you can easily fight the enemies, isolate them in a 1v1 situation. Whereas the position you're in what you'd call a one and done spot. And what I'd also recommend, you've got a dart. At the start of the round, you can look to dart off certain positions. For example, you don't know if they're going to hit the C site or the A site. Or sometimes they can do a B side, or what they can do is a split through garage and long. So at the start of the round, use your dart to typically towards somewhere here. It's like a tree area where it allows you to see this spot. Let me clear all this. It allows you to see all this and this. So if enemies are posted up and they're about to hit the site, you'll know from the dart. So just keep that in mind. And here you've noticed, or your team's noticed, that although they knifed the A site earlier on, if I go back a few seconds, you can see they've knifed the A site. But if we move slightly back to where we were, you can see that no one's hit the site. So you've got 3 enemies here. The whole of B site is open. The whole of garage is open. They can be slow pushing or contact pushing C long, so you're in a very bad position, and they've got complete control, or they've baited you in a way where they can literally take full advantage of you. But considering this is silver, I doubt any of that is happening, and they're probably just going to continue here in the A site. Yeah, exactly. You can see multiple enemies are pushing the site, and instead of going back and taking full advantage of or the areas they've opened up, they've decided to hit the site, and hitting 3 enemies on defense is very, very difficult. And also, let me slightly go back because I remember seeing something. Yeah. See, in this position, the way you peeked, you shift peeked, and looking at the position of this crosshair, you can see the way it's positioned. Head level isn't going to be here. It's going to be more towards here. So when the way you peek, you shift peek, and on top of that you peek by having your crosshair slightly below the angle. So if an enemy is there, you're gonna have to flick, and as I always say, flicking isn't reliable. When you do peek, peek with intention, and if you're just trying to jiggle, then jiggle. But the way you peek, you shift peek, which I never advise you to shift peek unless specific scenarios. But for the most part, you can silent step peek, which is strafing just about enough to where you don't make a sound, but you're still fast enough to where you don't get easily picked off. Whereas if you're shift peeking, you get killed. You see all 3 enemies. Team gets traded. The Sage is in a 1 vs 2. She does well, which is fantastic. Okay, I can already tell that's going to be a bad dart, and I'll let you know why. Let me just continue this. All right, look at the just, and the reason being is, from the way it was going to hit, you can tell it's just going to go straight along, like here. what you want to do is you want to aim for this wall over here, because what this does is when you aim for this wall, which is exactly here on the mini map, it allows you to see enemies here, which Serena currently is here, but she can reposition. It allows you to see enemies that are pushing here or enemies that are pushing here. So it practically sees most of the site. And in Sage's position, if the Reyna goes this side, she'll be able to see her anyway. So that dart allows you to see a lot of the site. Might not be perfect, because there's an even better one, which is right on the tippy corner right here. See, this is the issue. The Reyna, you just heard her right here, right? She could be planting, but I doubt that she's going to be tapping the bomb. And she could be here, or she could be in this area, or she could be here. You have no exact idea. It could be a fake, and then that fake could be to peek off it and get a kill, dismiss, heal, etc. But look at the position of your crosshair. Let me delete all this. Yeah, look at the position of your crosshair. It's down all the way here, and on top of that, you're holding shift, I guess, to conceal your identity and she doesn't hear you. But the way you're pushing is you're holding shift, and on top of that, you've got your crosshair in a position that is poor. No one's going to peek you from here. It's like you're aiming for this spot over here, but just have it slightly higher so that if she peeks into your crosshair. Make sense? Perfect. And there's no need to right click from that distance. You typically, I'm guessing everyone knows this, but maybe in the heat of the game that you just forgot. But you don't want to right click from long distances, and this typically is a long distance because the right click is fairly inaccurate and random. So you want to do it close range where it's very strong. So close range meaning if she stayed in the same spot planted here and she was inches away from you, then yeah, right clicking is good. But from here, from that distance, which is probably 8 meters, is way too far, which is why he didn't kill her. All right, I'm hoping that you're gonna buy. I'm hoping the Sage is gonna buy. I'm hoping the Gecko is gonna buy. This typically, you see this level of poor economy management in the lower ranks, but in silver and in 2023 September, October, you shouldn't be seeing people saving on the second round. Always buy up in the second round, because what's going to happen is they're going to have pistols, they're going to have ghosts, they're going to have maybe frenzies, shorties, they're going to have generally pistols if they want to buy the third round. But when you're essentially weakening your economy and not utilizing the extra cash you have, you're leveling the playing field. So when you have the advantage, right, you have the advantage and they're down here, by you not utilizing the money, you're essentially coming down to their level, right, where they have the pistols. So in this situation, buying a ghost isn't the worst, but when your teammates aren't buying and you only have a ghost, there's no need. You can easily get a Spectre, get those kills, get those ult points, and almost guarantee the round. Because I don't want to say guarantee 100%, because no round is guaranteed, but it makes it much easier. But when you're having a ghost and the Jet has a ghost, who's going to win the round? It's going to come down to who hits a headshot. So you don't want to be leveling that playing field. This is essentially what I'm trying to say. Exactly what I mentioned earlier, you're in a position where you're in almost a one or done, because you can be peaked by two positions, and if you get a kill or you whiff, now you've got the attention of multiple enemies. So playing positions like, for example, you can be jiggling here, no one's in garage, which is another issue, because you can be pushed from window, you can be pushed from garage, you can be pushed from here, multiple positions, and if the enemy pushes this side and this side, you're screwed. So look to playing positions that allow you to isolate 1v1s and allow you to exit if necessary. And remember, at the start of the rounds, use your damn utility. You've got the dart just sitting there. You can't really see it, but you can see the dart is still there and not being used, which is an issue, because a simple dart, like I mentioned earlier, doesn't matter from what positions, but essentially hitting towards this tree, like you see right now, it allows you to see enemies that are here and here at the start of the round. And if they shoot it, it allows you to know there's enemies there or enemy there. And typically most players will just instantly shoot it, so you know there's multiple shots, meaning multiple enemies. But if they don't shoot it, it allows them to be scanned, and as a result you have the information that an enemy is in the area, and they're more than likely going to hit C. So it makes it easier for the Jet to maybe get map control, the Brim to push up, and the Sage to rotate through garage, protecting your garage push, etc. That one dart can literally impact the whole round. Like, let's just go back a little bit. Let's turn down the volume. You get KO knife, so they know your backside. And look at the way you're shooting your ghost. That was a nice shot. But look, you're not taking your time. Again, you can see with the Reyna gunfight, you're literally running and just spamming your shots. And with the ghost, the first bullet accuracy isn't the best, but it's a gun that promotes a tapped style. If you're spamming, your shots are going to be inaccurate. It's almost like a sheriff where you need to tap, tap, tap. There's a certain timing and a certain interval where the ghost is fairly accurate. I don't want to say 100% because no gun is 100%, especially the pistols, but it makes it much more easier to land that headshot. But when you're spamming like this, although you got a 3K, in an ideal world against decent enemies, that 3K isn't going to happen. You're going to get instantly traded the moment. Like if you go back to the jet gunfight, you can see she dash. Of course, there's enemy there, but you instantly get dinked. And if this object or this platform here wasn't here, let's be honest, you'd be killed. And just like I mentioned earlier, you having the ghost is going to make the playing field more level. And when she has a classic like she does now, she dinked you. All she does is follow up with a right click and you're dead. Whereas if you had a Spectre, you can easily kill her. The Reyna that's pushing here, it makes life much easier. That's what essentially I'm getting at. Look how you spammed your shots. No control, just hoping for the best. Oh my god, wait, hold up. I need to go back. Let's go back and look at this. I don't know if you saw that, but just take a look at the crosshair. You can see the crosshair position here. You've identified the enemies here. You can see you shot, which is, so you've seen the enemy, but instead of flicking, then shooting, you shot and then flicked onto the target. Yeah, like that doesn't make any sense. Like as always, you need to make sure your crosshair is first on the target. You've clearly identified the enemies there and you've shot and flicked, which I'm hoping is just a mistake and is usually not the case. But if it is, just make sure your crosshair is first on the enemy. You're better off taking your time than rushing your shots like you did with multiple enemies. And luckily you did get the kill, but if this scenario happened against better players, you'd be killed. So when you see an enemy, take the time to land that crosshair on them, then shoot, and preferably aim for the head. You might be like, but I don't want to take my time, it's too slow, and I don't want to get killed, yada yada. And that's where practice range comes in. When you're in the practice range, you're taking your time, being deliberate with your shots so that you can instill the right habits, and over time increase the speed to where it becomes second nature. So you see the enemy and you don't shoot till that crosshair is on them, then you shoot. And you might see on the screen right now, these are just for my games. I'm taking my time and I'm making sure that my crosshair is first on the enemy before I'm shooting. And yes, I am using the Guardian, but it still emphasizes the point because you're using a single fire shot like I am with the Guardian. So just take your time, make sure that crosshair is on them first, and if you can, aim for the head instead of aiming for the back/neck area. Alright, you dart in garage. You have no idea of the whereabouts of this brim. He can be long, which, yep, that's perfect. You notice he can be long, he can be garage, you can get pushed through two positions, right? You don't know if he's here, you don't know if he's here. So you standing here is a bad position because you can get shot from here. So this is good, you repositioned. Instead of just sitting here and allowing that brimstone to get easy map control, pushing here without any enemies noticing, the best position is probably just playing this in this area, allowing you to see garage. That way you can see if enemies push you. Perfect. And this is fantastic use of your utility. Yeah, that's I'm sorry, but that's not the smartest idea. It's a 2 versus 1, right? Look at the position of your jet. She's not able to instantly react because she's trying to hold multiple positions. She's trying to hold this position and she's also wary of this position. So when you tag the brimstone with the drone, it was fantastic, but that's where you need to not instantly peek. Because when you're instantly peeking, you've now given him a free 1v1. And luckily, the jet did trade you, but you don't want to be giving enemies 1v1. You want to either swing together, or you want to shock dart, or you want to jiggle. You don't want to instantly peek, giving them a free 1v1. And you die. And she whiffs the shot. Instead of her firing again, she falls back, or she whiffs the second shot and she gets killed. You lose the round. So it's these small things that you need to be aware of. Look to communicate with your jet, say, oh, I've tagged him, and then from there you can regroup, kill the enemy together, so you trade each other. But the position you're in, it makes it harder to trade each other. And if this was a high elo game, then Brimstone would have killed you, repositioned, and now he would have had the bomb, could have faked the bomb, peek for a free kill.